Welcome to the Hyperfixation podcast. My name is Tsuki, last name withheld, and I'm here with my co-host,
Max Fairchild. So this is our technically first real episode of the podcast. How are you feeling about that?
Anxious. Like the world is ending. But it's fine. Everything's fine.
Yeah, we're just both having like mild panic attacks throughout this entire recording, which I think, gives more of a very nice show of how we're just humans. It makes it real that we're just freaking out this whole time.
That's of course what we were going for.
Yeah.
And not at all just because we're anxious people.
Yeah, that's not at all what it is. So I want to go ahead and give everybody a general brief warning. Tsuki and I are both adults, so we are going to be discussing some more mature topics, as well as being pretty liberal with our curse words. So if you're a younger audience or are uncomfortable with those sorts of topics, I suggest you keep in mind these warnings and steer clear. We also... I'm going to give a little bit of a discussion warning for later in the video. We are going to talk to some extent about racism, as well as some discussion of fat phobia, which is comes up actually a lot in one of our later topics, at least from my end. Tsuki, can you think of anything that you need to warn for?
A general sense of being uncomfortable toward the end of our discussion on one of the things we watched.
Yeah, that's a good warning.
It's very uncomfortable, but
it's like watching a Barbie doll melt.
Yeah, that's a really good way of saying it. I don't think we actually said what we do on this podcast yet.
Oh, yeah.
Here on this podcast, we do a deep dive into things that we love, and then we do a history lesson, and we geek out about them.
Yeah, and we are going to try and stick to topics that we do enjoy, like you said, because I think it makes it more genuine and enjoyable to watch when we talk about stuff that we care about. But we are going to talk about some stuff, for example, in this one, that we may not like at all, that have something to do with our main topic. So some of these videos are going to, or podcasts rather, are going to get into a little bit of angry territory.
Yeah. So if you're not into 220-somethings talking about how horny they are for cats, steer clear of this episode.
Yeah, and I do want to preface this by saying, because some people might take this the wrong way, we mean like furries. we're not Shane Dawson. Don't worry.
Shane Dawson. Oh my God. Yeah, no,
not
the animal cat.
Yeah, like, that's a bag of worms.
Anthropomorphized.
That's a bag of worms I don't want to open with my joke there. So, yeah, cats. If you haven't guessed by the title of this episode, we are going to be discussing the Cats musical that most people know about it right now because of the movie that came out in 2019, which we are going to talk about in some great length and detail, hence some of the warnings later. But we're also going to be talking about the history and everything else that is about this movie, and the fact that most people probably don't know there was actually a movie that came out in 1998 before the 2019 version, and the 2019 version, I think it's safe to say, is a poor remake.
Very, very safe to say that. So should we just hop right in here and do a little plot synopsis for people who've never seen or heard of it?
Yeah, before we do that, though, I do want to talk about how you and I are maybe a little biased because we do have... we like this musical.
Yeah.
We've both grown up watching it. We both we actually talked about this before when we were talking about what to do for our podcast, which I didn't actually realize that we had this in common, but we both had the VHS and watched it way too much.
You said that you had actually broke your copy, you and your siblings.
Yeah, we watched ours so much that the VHS, the tape itself, got ruined and became unwatchable, and we had to buy a new copy of it because it was like, it worked fine up until the flying trapeze bit where one of them goes over the stage on a trapeze, and once it hit that part, it would get super staticky and all the audio would get screwed up, and it was just destroyed. And there oftentimes, like, even if we got a few scenes on the VHS where it looked good, the audio or something would be messed up. And I think the only song that was still watchable near the end was Rum Tum Tugger's song, which, to be fair, is the best song. In my opinion.
It is the best song.
Yeah, it's great.
No, it's just the best song, objectively.
Yeah.
I'm sure we're gonna get.
Yeah, you said yours got taken away. It disappeared.
It mysteriously disappeared, which I take to mean that my mom got tired of watching it with me, and she put it in the garage, or not the garage. We had a shed. We had a shed where we would keep stuff.
She hid your movie in the shed.
I'm fairly certain she hid it in the shed, so that I couldn't continue annoying her with it.
That's amazing. Yeah. I've also seen this musical in person. I've gone to the theater to see it. I've seen it a few times. I think most of them were when I was pretty little. The only one that I remember myself was I think it was kind of near where we live, and I fell asleep like halfway into the naming of cats. Like, I didn't even make it through the naming of cats. That is how tired I was. I just zonked out, and I do not remember anything else of that movie or of that production. I was just out of it. Yeah, I just the only one that I can remember I passed out during. My sibling, however, during one of the productions that they went to, they saw during a Jenny Any Dot song when they all get in their cockroach costumes. Mistopheles, he dressed up obviously because he was part of that, but he didn't get his costume off in time. And so he had to do a good chunk of the Rum Tum Tugger song dressed as a cockroach.
Oh my god.
And
that's actually hilarious.
Yeah, I never saw that myself, but that was so funny when I heard it. Like, can you imagine just you're a stage actor and you're doing this whole thing and you have to go do Rum Tum Tugger song, which is supposed to be, sexy, and you come out looking like a fucking trash cockroach. Like, that's amazing. Yeah, it's just people, man. Like, shit happens, especially in theater, and if you can't improvise, it goes bad. So yeah, we both kind of have a vested interest in this movie, especially at least for me, I was very hopeful for the 2019 version, which I will talk about more later. So if we talk about this movie a little nicely, that's because we both like it, and it is good. But do keep in mind that we might be a little biased.
A little bit.
Just a little bit.
As a personal anecdote, because of the 1998 version, I spent at least 5 Halloweens dressed like a cat.
Oh my god, yeah. I have a picture where it wasn't even Halloween. Me and my siblings just dressed up as the cats. To be fair, we didn't do a good job, and it was just like Walmart brand face makeup. And there was one time when I was 5 where I took a Sharpie and put stripes all over my body and ran around pretending I was Monkey Strap. So
Oh my god.
Yeah, so little 5-year-old me in his diaper just running around with awfully drawn Sharpie stripes all over my body.
That is amazing. That's way better than my story, actually.
Yeah, I brought it up because I wanted to, show off and make you feel bad.
Yeah, I figured, and it worked. So this is how our friendship works, everyone.
Yeah, we try and one-up each other, and whoever has the better story wins.
Yeah.
And it's clearly the sexier friend.
It is. It's usually the sexier friend. Whoever that happens to be at the time.
Yeah, we trade our sexy label, just like we hot potato our brain cell, which you will notice during this and future episodes. But yeah, that's basically how we feel about it. So the movie and the musical is obviously the musical has existed long before the movie has, and the plot for this. For a synopsis, real quick, if nobody has really seen it before. There's really two things that are kind of like a takeaway people can usually take from what I've noticed from the musical, and that's usually either basically there is like it's a performance to show off talent primarily, in my opinion, and basically the plot is just sick dance battles and singing battles between a bunch of cats so they can go to heaven, while the B plot is Macavity, who is evil and is kind of like a crime lord, like the godfather of crime, is trying to kill the boss. Then Grisabella wants to die and go to cat heaven.
Yeah.
And that's the primary just the basic synopsis. It sounds very strange when I say it, and I actually have a point about that later in the 2019 version, because keep in mind how weird it sounds, right, when I explain to you with words what this musical is in plot-wise, because it's really the kind of thing that you watch it and it's just supposed to be enjoyable. You're not supposed to really think about it,
Yeah, I would also say it makes a lot more sense in a theater perspective.
For sure.
A lot of plays, the plot is a little bit wobbly.
Yeah.
Especially plays with so much dancing.
For sure.
Stuff gets switched out between productions and directors and actors.
Yeah, and a lot of people cut certain songs. Like, for example, we'll talk about it more in depth later, but one of the songs, Growl Tiger's Last Stand, is almost always cut nowadays because it was cut from the 98 production of the movie, and it was widely considered to be the worst, egregious, like, racist bit, which again, I will talk about more in detail in a little bit, because I have something to say about that. I've
never actually heard Growl Tiger's Last Stand because I've never seen the play in person, and I've only ever seen it in these recordings.
Yeah, Growl Tigers.
I've never heard it before, so I'm really interested to hear.
Yeah, I'm really excited to talk about it, especially since you haven't heard it. It's a very good song, and there are ways to circumvent the shitty stuff that is in it, just like there is with the other song that we're going to talk about. Yeah, and basically, the other plot line that a lot of people take away from this is, and this, I say this with a little bit of, keep in mind this, a little bit of grain of salt, humor. This is mostly a joke, but basically Grisabella is Cat Jesus. Like, to elaborate, there's...
I never thought about it before.
Yeah, she's literally... Jesus. She's Jesus. It's the same story, like, the poor person, like, needing to be taken care of. Everyone's fucking mean to them. And then the big, strong person, or God, so Deuteronomy would be God in this analogy, I guess. They sacrifice Grisabella religiously to die, and she becomes Cat Jesus. She goes to heaven and she ascends, and everybody sings about how great she is. So she's Cat Jesus. But yeah, there's no real plot to this, and that's kind of the point. There's a little bit of, there's a thread line, there's a through line strung from situation to situation to make it more enjoyable. And of course, like you said, each music production is going to have their own narration and their own spin on it and their own points that they want to drive home. Which is, it's kind of the point that they have that freedom to change what they want and adapt it for each version and make it, their own. And like, hell, I can literally say whatever I want in place for this plot, and that's it. That's the plot. That's what it is for me. And it's really just, it changes. It's very loose. That's the point it's supposed to be. You're really just supposed to go in, have a fun time, and watch people show off how great they are at dancing and singing. The only exception to how great this is and the, plot is what happens in the 2019 movie, which we're not going to talk about in this section of the plot. We're going to discuss it later when we talk about the 2019 movie as a whole, but just keep in mind it is very, very different.
Alright, we ready to go into some history lessons?
Yes, teach me the history. I do know some stuff, but there is a good chunk I suspect you're going to educate me on.
Yeah, I definitely didn't include everything because it's
that would be a much
situation.
Yeah, that would be a much longer video. And we would probably have to discuss like the entire history by itself.
Yeah, I might not even go into everything that I've written down here, just for brevity.
Yeah.
But I'm sure a lot of people who also really enjoy cats know this, but the play is based on the 1939 poetry collection Old Possum's Book of Practical Cats by T.S. Eliot. And it was adapted into this play. I think they started adapting it in 1977. I didn't write it down like an idiot, but I'm pretty sure that's correct.
I read. Side note. I don't mean to interrupt. Side note. When I was in school, in English class, we read poems by T.S. Eliot, and we specifically read Macavity, and I got really excited in class. I was just like sitting there the entire time, just so pumped and like, oh my god, let me read this. This is from the movie. This is the thing that I like. Let me talk about it. And it was verbatim to the lyrics.
Oh my gosh, yeah. That's one of the really cool things about the way that they adapted the poems is that they pretty much just put in the poems into the song.
Yeah, which is very hard to do, I want to mention. Like, most of the time when you do musicals, the typical way to do them is you do the music first, and you add lyrics after. You don't do the lyrics first. So it makes it much more difficult that they had the lyrics first, like the poems, and then had to make music to it. Yeah,
that makes it just really impressive to me. Speaking of the person who composed the songs, that was Andrew Lloyd Webber. He also, in the 2019 version, composed the new song that Victoria sings.
Oh no, he did that? Oh dear.
He did. I was surprised to find out. The thing is, the lyrics are terrible. I just don't like them.
Also, it is noteworthy here to mention that I found this out very recently, like right before we were going to record this, basically. They added that song that Victoria sings, that additional song, because they wanted an Oscar. They wanted to be able to... Yeah, they wanted to qualify for an Oscar, so they added in that song, because they wouldn't have otherwise. I mean, with how bad that movie is, they kind of wouldn't have gotten it anyway, so it was pointless. But
yeah,
I do later on. I will, since you mentioned the lyrics, I do want to talk about the lyrics because as I was listening to it, I was like, this seems like a bad choice.
Yeah, Anyway, to get back on track, some stuff that I kind of just ripped off of their website, where they were stroking their egos about it. I mean, well deservedly.
Yeah.
But Cats is one of the longest running shows in both the West End and Broadway history. It premiered originally at the New London Theatre in 1981, and it played there for 21 years.
Jesus.
Yeah. So it won the Oliver and Evening Standard Awards for Best Musical. The Broadway production, in particular, won 7 Tonys, and it ran for 18 years.
Damn.
Yeah.
I know. I'm pretty sure. I heard this a few times that Cats and Phantom of the Opera kept bumping each other out of the longest running Broadway musical spot.
Yeah.
Because they kept bringing each of them back, so it was like when they brought Phantom back, it would become the top one for a bit, and then they'd bring Cats back, and it would become the top. So
yeah. I don't know if other people know this, but especially back when the 1998 version came out, it was wildly popular. Like,
yeah.
It seems weird because you and your siblings are the first people I've met who've seen it that aren't directly related to me. But like a lot of people saw it, so I don't know if it's just an older crowd of people who saw it or what.
Yeah, I think it is probably the older crowd because one of my bosses has seen it and she really enjoys the original movie.
Oh my gosh!
And she is relatively old. Like she's like in her 60s, I think.
Don't let her hear this.
God no. So, but yeah, I think it is the older crowd who knows more about it, and then directly, I think the people who really got into it, they're children, because those would be the people who would show them. And needless to say, my parents were kind of not really into it. It was my grandmother. My grandmother, both of them. One of my grandmothers on my mom's side, she gave us the VHS, and then my dad's mom, she was the one who actually let us watch it first because she had it, and she used to love me.
Yeah, I actually think that this movie kind of bred my love of musicals.
Oh, same. Also, this movie 100% turned me gay.
Oh, same. Absolutely.
I have distinct...
Man be a gay furry.
Yeah, I have distinct memories about this movie, and it definitely ties into me being a gay furry as well. So this movie caused a generation of queer furries.
Absolutely.
But yeah, let's get back on track.
What was I reading? Both the London and the Broadway cast recordings have won Grammys for Best Cast Album.
Hell yeah.
Also, something I of course want to talk about is the song "Memory."
Oh God, yes, of course.
Yeah, it was written by Trevor Nunn after another Eliot poem because it wasn't in the original Old Possum's Book of Practical Cats. It was another poem called "Rhapsody on a Windy Night." Sorry. And "Moments of Happiness" was also taken from a passage of Eliot's 4 quartets. So those 2 songs were not originally in the original poems, but they took other Eliot songs and adapted them in. And you can't really tell. Like, they go really well.
Yeah, his writing, T.S. Eliot's also, is consistent in the type of phrases he uses. So you can't really tell that they're technically 2 different types of poems. Like, they merge so well on their own, and then the composer obviously did an amazing job.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, people know his name for a reason.
Yeah, exactly.
So, back in 1982, when it was brought to Broadway, it was actually overhauled a lot. It used to be a lot darker.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah. Apparently it was a lot more, gloomy. And, so when it was adapted to Broadway in '82, of course they brought some American Broadway flair.
Yeah,
and made it a lot
they
more bright and happy and a little bit more child friendly. Although it is still very horny.
Oh my god, yeah. We're going to talk about that, which is kind of one of the reasons we specified at the beginning that we are adults and we're going to talk about adult topics, because, I mean, this musical is horny. Like, there is a sex orgy, basically. Like, without actually having sex. There's basically a cat orgy.
Yeah. It's a lot.
It is a lot.
It's a good kind of a lot, but it is a lot.
Yeah, it's good. It's just, it's a lot to take in, especially if you're not into musicals and this is the first one you see.
Yeah, which I think it might have been for both of us.
Yeah, it definitely was my first musical, but I mean, as a kid, it's easier to take in that sort of thing, especially because of how many bright lights, and it's like, oh, cats!
Yeah,
they're singing and dancing.
Cats.
But if you're an adult,
you're like,
you know, and you
I
already
have a cat.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're adult and you already have your thinking skills, like, in there, and you see Cats as your first musical, like your first real musical, it's like, what the fuck is this?
You're like, whoa, am I supposed to be this turned on by this cat person?
Yeah. Like, oh my god, okay? They're so hot. Why are they so hot? What is going on? Am I a furry? What's happening?
Yeah, I actually wrote that in my notes later.
Well, good to know.
I was having a moment.
I have a lot of those moments later where I talk about how hot they are. I have a really specific one which we'll talk about later, but yeah.
More history. So originally there was going to be an animated movie of Cats.
Yeah, I heard about that.
And I think it was Universal.
Yeah, I've seen some of the art for it that they were like shooting around as like, considering, and it looked amazing. Yeah,
I'm pretty sad that we didn't get it, but
it would have been amazing.
I'm also really happy that we didn't get it because that fell through. We got the 1998 version.
Yeah. It's a mixed bag. Exactly.
Like, I would love that. But also I wouldn't trade the 1998 version for anything.
Same. Also, I do want to mention, related briefly, real quick. I'll be brief.
Yeah.
Animated, you bringing that up makes me. I don't know if our viewers will know this, but there's this comic called Lackadaisy, and it's being turned. It's being turned into a animated movie, I believe, right now. I was around for when Lackadaisy and the artist was creating Cats fan art.
Oh my god.
Yes, this is where that artist started. I don't know their pronouns.
I shouldn't be surprised.
But they started with Cats fan art, and that is how I found them, because I found them on DeviantArt.
Oh my god.
When I was like 13, and I was like, oh my god, Cats fan art, this is so amazing. And I think they had like a small comic or something with Rum Tum Tugger and Mistopheles, and I read it like crazy, and I was obsessed with it. And I still love Lackadaisy, but back then that was like my thing. So it just makes me very amused that Lackadaisy is amazing and getting as far as it is, and I know them from Cats fan art.
It all started from Cats fan art. It's the best.
But anyway,
ideal.
I will stop interrupting. You can continue with our history lesson.
Yes. So you mentioned before that Growl Tiger's Last Stand was cut.
Yeah.
The reason that it was cut is that the song that comes before it, Gus the Theater Cat, ran over time, and they didn't have time to film a really weird dream sequence where Gus the Theater Cat plays the character of Growl Tiger.
Yeah, that's why they cut it in the movie, the 98 version. Yeah, they also cut a lot of other stuff from the movie, like Jacob Brent's Mistopheles' Conjuring Turn, which sucks because people, back when I was in the really big DeviantArt sphere of Cats fandom, a lot of people who had actually seen him in person were like kind of revered as like fandom gods almost, because it was like a changed experience anytime you watch it. And I do know for a fact they have the footage of Jacob Brent's Conjuring Turn locked away, and you're only allowed to see it if you're like a research student or something, and they keep it really heavily really heavily, like, locked down.
So, I'm in school. Can I pretend that I'm a research student for musicals?
Yeah, like, hey, we're in school. Let us see Jacob Brent's Conjuring turn, for the love of God. Honestly,
what am I majoring in? Don't worry about it.
Yeah, like, who cares? What do you mean? Filming it? I don't have a hidden camera. I'm just watching Jacob Brent be hot for, like, a few minutes.
I always wear these weird glasses.
Exactly. I'm not tapping them to make the Wi-Fi turn back on or anything.
No, that would be weird.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go a little bit into the 2016
yes,
now.
Please. I almost went and saw this, and I'm so upset that I didn't, because they
Oh my God.
they closed it right before I was able to go and see it. So I'm so upset about that. They were amazing.
That sucks. But yeah, they're amazingly talented.
Yeah.
So the 2016 revival on Broadway was produced by the Schubert Organization and the Netherleader Organization. It ran, the original revival ran from July 31st, 2016 to December 10, 2017.
It ended when Trump became president.
Yeah.
That's why we are suffering like we are, because we don't have the Cats revival anymore.
And if we have another revival of Cats that isn't this movie that we're going to talk about, I think that the country would really turn around.
Exactly. Like, especially, like, I'm going to mention this now, I guess. Literally, since I was a child, my lifelong dream, this is not a joke at all, my lifelong dream was to play Mephistopheles in a production. Oh my God. And I
would kill to see that.
Yeah, and I tried to get into ballet. We didn't have money for it at the time, and I got really fucking into all this. And don't get me wrong, I still want to do that. And I am in theater kind of right now anyway, but it was a huge lifelong dream to be that. So if they do bring it back to Broadway, they should let me be Mephistopheles, even though I can't dance and have no experience yet.
I agree. Just for, Mephistopheles is always active boy.
Yeah,
and
that, or
you are currently the your friend, so clearly.
That, or I would be Rum Tum Tugger, just because with my voice dropping, my singing voice has gotten way lower, and I don't think I'm in the range for Mephistopheles anymore, and I'm kind of hitting the range for Tugger at this point when I sing, because I can get my voice really low now. But basically just one of those two. I would love to play one of those two. And being Tugger would be awesome, because you can run around stage and be super fucking gay and horny for like a few minutes. Oh god, yes. Just gyrate constantly. Yes. But anyway, the 2016 revival. Yes, 2016. Some of the main changes between the 2016 revival and previous versions of it are they're mainly in choreography changes and a couple lyric tweaks. And that I noticed there was a lot of speaking lines now as well, because in the 98 version there were literally no speaking lines at all. Like even when Misto says presto, he sings it. And in the 2016 version, especially when I was watching it, it almost startled me when I heard them talking. I was like, what is going on? Like, wow, there's a lot of talking in this. Yeah, I was like, huh? That's not supposed to happen. One of the choreography changes in particular is the Beatles tattoo section in the Jenny Annie Dots. Oh, yeah, the giant ball. Old Gummy Cat. That was they just didn't do that part, and they replaced it with the cats cleaning to her direction. I actually lost my mind when I saw that giant broom. Yeah, same. When I saw the broom and I saw them all like cleaning, I was like, what the hell is going on? Oh my god. Yeah, I was so distracted by the mop that I honestly was like, I didn't notice if they did or not, so I was like, huh. I
I actually had to go back and see if that was true.
I had to rewatch some of the... I replayed Tugger's song a lot because I have a lot to say about that later.
God, yes. Moving on. Another thing, again, like you said, Growl Tiger's Last Stand was completely removed from this production.
Yeah.
And it was replaced with Gus performing the awful battle of the Peaks and the Follicles, and it was put into Act 2 instead of Act 1.
I am a bit conflicted about that, which again we'll talk about more when we go deep dive into the alternate versions of the 98 movie and the musical itself. But yeah, I was conflicted about that for multiple reasons. One, because I do really like Growl Tiger's song when it's done correctly and not, being allowed to be racist. When they do it with the adjusted lyrics, it is amazing.
Yeah. So in this new version of the Battle of the Peaks and the Follicles, Gus actually plays the Great Rumpus Cat. He's kind of a reimagined version of him in this like cool cloak. I actually thought that outfit was really awesome.
I'm gonna be honest. I thought it was. I thought for a minute that they had like clothespins attached to him. I was like, "What the hell is he wearing?"
It's amazing. So this version, the 2016 version, is directed by Trevor Nunn, who you'll remember. It was Memory that he directed initially, and then he came back and directed the 2016 revival on Broadway.
He did an amazing job.
So the next thing that we should definitely talk about in the history is the cursed 2019 movie.
Oh boy. I'm gonna be honest, I really don't want to talk about this movie.
It was adapted by Lee Hall. As I said, Andrew Lloyd Webber came back and wrote Beautiful Ghosts.
I do want to...
that replaces the Memory prelude.
For some reason.
In the song.
Well, we know the reason, but unfortunate.
And another little extra kind of that I put in here is the two kind of, what am I thinking of the word?
The
theories. The two theories of what Jellicle Cat means.
Yeah.
So there's the first one for Jellicle Cat and Jellicle Dog, which is that they're morphed versions of Dear Little Cat and Poor Little Dog.
Yeah.
But Elliot's secretary says in a 1959 letter that Jellicle is a diminutive of oh god, I completely butchered the way that I spelled this. His cat's name. Bellyloon?
Yeah. I have no idea, but yeah.
Yeah, Jelliloon, it was Elliot's cat, and it's like a diminutive of his cat's name. And it's been presumed that Pollicle is a diminutive of Polly, which is his first wife's dog.
Yeah, and I heard, I don't know how true this is, but I heard that a lot of his poems were inspired because his daughter, I believe, started talking about jellicles and stuff, and he was like, oh, this is fun, I'm going to write a poem about it. Of course, I don't know how true that is, so please take that with a grain of salt, but that is what I always heard when I was younger, that but yeah, the 2019 movie is... I don't really want to talk about it. It's a lot.
That's why there was like 2 lines that I wrote about it.
I do want to mention a little bit, even though you're doing the history section.
Go for it.
I really closely followed this movie because it was announced first, at least for me, when I saw it.
2013, I think.
Oh, sorry.
Is when it was announced.
29. Yeah. I heard it first on James Corden's show, Late Late Show, or whatever it is. I heard him talk about it first, which is how I learned of it, and I got really excited, and I got really into it, and for the longest time, I saw it as his movie, and from what I understand, like, obviously, whoever made it made the movie, but from what I understand, he was a big reason it got made, and with as big as a person he is, like, personality-wise, and how popular he is, and how like, if he tells someone to do something in regards to this movie, if he was as influential on it as he was, then they would have done it, you know, because he was kind of the reason it got made. So if it is true that he had as much of a role in it as I have been led to believe, then I place all of the blames on James Corden for the monstrosity that came out. It is entirely his fault that it came out that way.
Wow. This is an official challenge from the Hyperfixation
this is an official challenge. Yep, James
come
Corden,
fight us behind the 7-Eleven.
Yeah, we will fight you together. We will both dress up as cats. I will dress up as Rum Tum Tugger, and we will fight you. And we will fight you for the title.
I guess if you're taking Tugger, I'll take Mistopheles.
Yeah, we'll be Tugger and Misto, and we'll fight you for the title of Jellicle Cat, and whoever loses has to go live in a junkyard for the rest of their life.
Yep.
Yeah. Do you have anything else?
For the, I just have a little bit from that. You know, that I think you said it to me last night, and you were like, "Should we watch this?"
Yes, I really want to watch this as well.
It's like a YouTube kind of podcast.
Like a YouTube interview sort of thing.
Yeah, called What's New Pussycat. I watched. You'll watch it later.
I will watch it later.
Episode 7 of What's New Pussycat, and I don't want to get too into whatever everything inside of it is. It's a lot of it is backstage stuff.
Yeah, incentivize you guys to go watch it. Like, go to their YouTube and watch this video, please.
Yeah.
We don't want to take away their. Yeah, if you love cats, or if you're just interested, please go watch their interview.
You know, anything. What's really cool is we get to see Christopher Gurr, who plays Peter, Bustopher Jones, and Gus. Yeah. We get to see him do makeup and like how fast he does it. Super cool. Definitely suggest it.
That was amazing.
Anyone who doesn't know, Peter's kind of like a bit part. He's only in the intro because then he switches to Bustopher Jones, and then he switches over to Gus.
So yeah, he does have to kind of be like a quick change comedian. But yeah, he would have to change really fast.
Mm-hmm. So. And he does, and it's wild. It's amazing. It also shows us some really cool costume changes backstage. Like, you see the actors come in and then like switch shoes or put something on over. I think we see Jenny Anygoss putting on her fluffier area.
Yeah, her. I don't want to call it a fat suit, but it's kind of a fat suit.
It's a little bit of a fat suit.
It's a little bit of a fat suit.
I always just thought that she was just like when I was a kid, and I would be watching it, I just thought that I didn't realize that she was supposed to be a fat cat. I thought she was just really fluffy. She like walked out of the fluff and was like, "I'm not fluffy, bitches."
Yeah, I always thought it was like she was matted or something. Like all of her fur was like matted, and then she got shaved and was like, "I'm healthy now."
It wasn't until later when I learned that society doesn't like fat people.
Yeah, when I got older, I was like, "Oh wait, this is a fat joke." Uh-oh.
Yeah. So yeah, we get to see some cool little some costume changes. We get to see the crew kind of goofing around. Oh, something really cool that I didn't know about is backstage. There's actually like a little sound studio area, and they call it the box, and it's where they have singers that add their voices to the company parts of songs.
Oh, that's amazing.
So cool. I didn't know that at all.
That must make the chorus much better.
Yeah, it makes it like more robust. Yeah. And there was like, I want to say like 5 or 6 people in there. It was really cool.
That's amazing. I know the reason I was interested in that interview was because of Tyler Haynes, who plays Rum Tum Tugger, and Bill Bailey in the 2016 version. He talks in it. I have no idea what he says. I just saw him in the thumbnail, and which is why I wanted to watch it, because I love his performance, which again we will talk about later.
Oh my god, yes.
He's so good.
So much talent in this.
Yeah, let's save our gushing for that section so we can go into it properly like it deserves.
And the last thing that I really wanted to talk about.
Yes.
Well, actually, there's two things. One is that they use like a really cool software for staging. So they'll be like, okay, everybody goes here, and then in the next scene you'll be here, and like it helps them with the choreography, like getting to the staging where they should be, which is really cool. Because in olden times, basically you had like a sheet, you had a bunch of sheets of paper, you had to write on it, like peasants. So I thought that was really cool, and he was like flipping through the different staging for the different scenes. That was really cool. And then the other thing that I super wanted to talk about is that they have framed fan art of Misto and Tugger.
Yes. This is something that I knew about, and I was gonna talk about when we got to the 2016 version. But since you bring it up, I'll say something about it now. The actors for Rum Tum Tuggers and Mistopheles, so Tyler Haynes and Ricky Ubeda, I believe is his name. I apologize if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. But yeah, they shipped it. They shipped Mistopheles and Rum Tum Tugger, and they had ship art in their dressing room, and they took some scandalous, suggestive photos for fans and with fans, and they really played into this, which we will talk about again later. Because it comes up quite a bit in the.
They actually refer to that shipping as one of the hidden stories in past, and I really like that.
Yeah, like especially because they let them do that. I think because I mean, musicals, plays, or whatever, but musicals especially have always been kind of a queer thing, and most of the people who are in musicals are queer, especially with queer men. It's always been kind of like a thing, and like so much so that like if you used to say something like you're in musical theater in high school and you're a man, it was basically just saying, hey, I'm gay. So them being allowed to play into that and not be stifled by, production companies and stuff, which I feel like the 2019 version probably was stifled a bit, and no, not the 2019, sorry, the 1998 was probably stifled a bit, and especially the 2019 version that's a whole bag of worms that we gotta open later to talk about. The lack of queer undertones. But it especially like Mistopheles and Rum Tum Tugger being a thing, like an item, is so widely known, at least for people who are interested in this musical, that there are compilations on YouTube of different performances where the actors will like grind on each other, or they'll like...
Oh my god.
Yeah, I've seen all of these, by the way. This isn't me just being like, I think these. Like, I watch these religiously, awesome. And like they grind on each other. They there's one scene during one production where they actually kiss each other. There's they like dance together a lot of the times. There's one scene where Tugger does like a strip tease, except he does it to Mistopheles. Like he sexily pulls off his jacket and basically performs a strip tease on with Mistopheles by being the way of taking off his clothes, and it's really sexually charged, which is like, if you know anything about cats, Mistopheles and Tugger are kind of like, they're gay. We know this.
Yeah, it is known.
Yeah. So yeah. Do you have anything else?
Oh wait, there is another thing. The wigs that they use are made of yak hair, and I just thought that was they always use the yak hair, from what I believe. In the 98 version, they did it too. I think it's like a thing, and it's, when I was younger, I looked into because we wanted to make a wig like that, and we looked into it. Oh my god,
yak hair is so hard to get. Like, genuinely, it is so hard to get that stuff. It's like those wigs cost so much fucking money. It's ridiculous.
Hey, take good care of it if you're an actor right now.
Yeah. Yeah, like, oof.
Yeah, woof.
But okay.
Yeah, that's all I had to talk about for the history.
All right. So, oh god, I got really high there. All right. So while we are going to talk about the rest of the movies. For example, the 1998 movie, the 2019 monstrosity that can barely be called a movie, if I'm being entirely honest, and the 2016 revival, which was not a movie. We've run out of time for this episode. We've already hit an hour. But if you guys want to hear the rest of this and learn more about what we're talking about and the movies, of course, stick around, watch the next episode. But for now, we're going to leave it there. Tsuki, do you have anything you want to say to leave us off?
No, not really, actually.
Alright, so yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Stick around for the next episode, and that is episode 1 of the first episode of the Hyperfixation podcast. You can follow us on our Twitter, which the Hyperfixatio, because the Hyperfixation would not fit. At the Hyperfixatio, capital T. We're also on Spotfiy and YouTube. You can find us there at the Hyperfixation Pod, I believe.
I think that's right.
Yep, you can find us there at the Hyperfixation Pod, capital T for all of those. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you next time. Okay.
Bye.
Bye.